Make sure you guys hit that like, hit that thumbs up. And of course, if you're new to the channel, do subscribe. Click that bell, turn on your notifications. That way you don't miss a stream. We're going to get into the predictions, but I wanted to talk about this. This just came across my screen about a couple hours ago. I took a chance to digest it, and I wanted to talk about this because it's absolutely crazy. There were so many people saying, oh, no, the ref threw the flag, and that's why they huddled up, and they had to talk about the Jared Goff touchdown, the Montgomery throwing the touchdown pass to Jared Goff, and they had seen that he wasn't on the line, and they had to huddle up after they already, threw the flag, and that was completely the opposite of everything that happened. Let's get into this one. Says that Dan Campbell officials said illegal motion called on Jared Goff touchdown catch came from New York. From the top. Says the trick play, fourth down touchdown on Detroit's opening drive in Kansas City violated the rules. There's an unresolved question regarding how the violation was detected. The flag wasn't thrown immediately from the snap at which the violation occurred until the flag was thrown by referee Craig Rolstad. 1 minute and 15 seconds elapsed. Y'all, 1 minute and 15 seconds after. Rolstad said the penalty was called after discussion. The circumstances and the delay invited speculation that Rolstad received guidance from the league offense as to the situation. That speculation may be accurate. Appearing Wednesday morning on 97.1 The Ticket in Detroit, Lions coach Dan Campbell said he was told that New York made the phone call, y'all. New York made the phone call. That's not what Rolstad told pool reporter Matt Derrick after the game. Rolstad said the call was made after decision by the crew with no assistance from New York. What's the truth? Who knows? But the broadcast showed Rolstad speaking discreetly to Campbell after the penalty was announced. In the end, they got it right, but if Campbell's version is accurate, they did it the wrong way in violation of clear, indisputable procedures when the league office may assist the on-field officials. Coupled with the fact that the final decision benefited the Chiefs, who had 0 penalties called against them for the entire game, and it's time for some to take out the tinfoil hats again, y'all. It's time to take out the tinfoil hats again. Shout out to you, Brian Allen. I appreciate you, bro. Y'all, you could speculate, you could throw on your tinfoil hats and all that. But when you have a situation where an NFL head coach is coming out and saying, hey, listen, this call came from New York. There wasn't no flags on the field. The refs huddled up. Sometime a minute after the touchdown was already done. We were like, the offense is running off the field. The play's over. What's going on? What is there to talk about? There was no flags. But to come and find out that NFL called this in, or say that New York called this in, I'm just saying, it's a little crazy. Let me know what y'all think in the chat before we get to these predictions. But I had to start that one off because this is absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Let me get to the chat before we get to the week 7 predictions. Shout out to you, Lisa. What up? Good to see you. Ryan Devlin, what up, man? What's going on with you? Shout out to you, Sabrina in the house. Text 713. Says, that's crazy, Jay. How does that make any sense? It's wild. It's absolutely wild. And, I'm just really surprised that people aren't talking about this as much as they should be, because this is a very, very serious topic. Very serious. This goes beyond the whole, hey, the Chiefs didn't have any flags, no penalties, 0 penalties for a whole game, something that hasn't happened in decades, right? We move past that. All right, fine. They played the absolute most perfect football game. Okay. But then for Dan Campbell to go on a radio show and say, hey, New York called this in. This wasn't from the refs. The play was already over. The touchdown was good. It was counted. Offense is running off the field. Something to talk about, y'all. Something to talk about. Shout out to you, Big T. What up, man? Sabrina says, since he's sorry. Text 113. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Says you putting the rig thing on life support. Listen, I just read what's official and we talk about it. That's all. This ain't even a rumor. This is from the horse's mouth. So hey, let me just go back to it. Let me go back to it right here, right here. Let me highlight it for you. You know, Wednesday morning on 97.1, the ticket in Detroit, Lions coach Dan Campbell said he was told that New York made the call. And I mean, that's the kind of stuff that gets coaches fined when they say stuff like that, right? So if he hasn't been fined for it, there's got to be some truth to it. Unless there's something coming down the pipe that we don't know about. Because as a head coach, NFL head coach, you can't just say that. You can't just say that came from New York and not have some repercussions from it. So there's got to be some truth to it. So we'll see how it plays out. And we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. With that said, we're in week 7, y'all. Week 7. And I feel like every week that we've done predictions or went through team predictions, you know, started off, you know, pretty, you know, I'm not going to say easy because it's never easy, but I'd say it was a little bit less challenging to figure out these predictions and, you know, who was going to win. Then we hit week 3. It was like, okay, you know, little shakeups in here and there, some little surprises. Week 4, I think that was week 4 where it was the week of the block kicks. So everything was absolutely insane. Everything was broken as far as predictions go. Week 5, once again, just the parity and injuries, and now things are starting to add up, and you know, certain teams are getting going, and Daniel Jones is coming out of nowhere. Week 6, once again, absolute chaos, pandemonium. And so now we get into week 7. Well, tomorrow night, you've got Pittsburgh. You've got Cincinnati, Steelers and the Bengals. Steelers are 4-1 on a Thursday night, and the Bengals are going to be 2-4. As far as the spread goes, it's 4.5 in favor of the Steelers. 44.5 is the over/under. Minus 240 on the money line for the Steelers and plus 200 on the money line for the Bengals. Your matchup predictor shows 64.5% in favor of the Steelers, 35.3% for the Bengals. Your season leaders, you got Aaron Rodgers, 95 of 138, 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Browning, obviously, who's going to be out. They're going to put in Flacco. So we got to get those stats there. But, I mean, for the most part, well, what do you expect from Flacco? Jay Warren, 184 carries. And then, of course, Brown with 202 with 74 carries, 1 touchdown, 54 carries, 184 yards for Warren. I apologize. DK Metcalf, who's been phenomenal, right? He's playing like he's been in his prime. 356 yards, 19 receptions, 4 touchdowns. Jamar Chase, right? He's been, you know, doing what he can with what's out there, but without a solid quarterback, he's being underutilized. He's not being utilized at all. Still 468 yards, 42 receptions, 4 touchdowns. Obviously, for Herbig, he's got 4.5 sacks. Hendrickson, who's got 4 sacks, who's also questionable, but I did see that he may play. We'll see how that goes. Patrick Queen, 44 tackles, and then of course Knight Jr. with 46. So as we get into the injury report, which obviously will be updated most likely tomorrow again, but you've got Elliott out, Austin III, Killebrew, Harrison, Sharping, and then of course for the Bengals, you've got Jones, Hendrickson, Hudson, Gesicki, and of course Patrick. Like I said, these may be changed or updated tomorrow. Getting into the last 5, you got the Steelers, obviously with the win against the Browns, 23-9. Win against the Vikings, 24-21. Win against New England, 21-14. Lost to the Seahawks, 31-17. And, of course, a win against the Jets, 34-32. So, for the most part, I mean, you got some, close games. Like I said, the parity in the league is really, really wild. there's, even if you have a bad quarterback, you most likely have a situation where, you got some decent or maybe some good wide receivers that can catch the ball and make plays, or you got a strong running back who can go out there and get busy and create opportunities for their offense to score. Um, and then on the flip side, it's, you got some really bad teams right now. We'll get into those later. But I think for the Steelers, they're right where you'd want them to be with Aaron Rodgers, right? Nobody really expected Aaron Rodgers to go and do much with this team. They thought it would kind of be like a farewell tour in a sense. But I think it's been pretty surprising as far as what he's been able to do. Not because we don't believe he has talent, but I think because he's up there in the age, so the old man can still move, and he's still doing some good things. Now on the flip side for the Bengals, obviously having so many issues and problems as far as with coaching, and obviously the main thing being the quarterback issue with Joe Burrow being out, the team's in disarray. So, can someone like Flacco come in and change things and change this culture and basically use these guys like they need to be utilized to go out there and win? I mean, you've got literally 5 straight losses. You lost to Green Bay, you lost to Detroit, you lost to Denver, you lost to the Vikings, you won against the Jags 31-27. But coming into this one, it's a little bit different, right? It's a little bit different. You got a stronger defense, obviously, with the Steelers, so I do think that's going to be huge. But I wouldn't sleep on, the ability for that defensive line to potentially get to Aaron Rodgers, right? You get to Aaron Rodgers, you kind of disrupt him, and you lock down DK Metcalf. Well, you've given your chance an opportunity to keep this a close game, right? We know that the Steelers have allowed close games. So what kind of opportunity can you create as far as, on defense to keep the game close for the offense so they can have time enough to figure things out to potentially win? Do I believe that'll happen? Probably not. That's wishful thinking for the Bengals fans. But with that said, I probably will take the Steelers in this one. Give me a field goal. Give me a field goal there for the Steelers on a Thursday night football. Getting into your Rams and Jags, this is an international game. They're going to be in London. This will be at 9:30 on Sunday. I said before when we talked about, the little pregame activities or the pre-matchups, I think that, Jags being the home team, right? They've played in London multiple times. They're familiar with the atmosphere, but it's still even because you're dealing with that time zone change. And I think it's more so for the Rams because they're on the West Coast. So it may be, a little bit more to their benefit because the Jags are used to that. They know how to train for it. So this could be, maybe a benefit for the Jags in this kind of situation. Some of those Ram players maybe a little sluggish, maybe a little tired. But we'll see. We'll see. But in that one, I do think I'll roll with the Jags. No disrespect to the Rams. I like Matt Stafford. I like Williams. I like what the boys are doing over there. I just think the Jags have that, that horseshoe, and we'll find a way to win. I'll go ahead and take them by that field goal as well. As far as the Saints and the Bears look strong against the Commanders. And I mean, at the same time, the way that Rattler's been playing in this Saints team, having their issues against the Patriots, I'm going to roll with the Bears there. I'll take them by a touchdown. As far as Miami, who's in complete disarray, I think Mike McDaniels is going to be out. So, one more loss or two more losses, he's out. I'm going to take the Browns here. I think it'll be an easy win for them at home. Yeah, even with Gabriel, sure. I'll go with the Browns by 7. Next after that's going to be New England, and of course the Titans. The spread there is 6.5. Over under is 42.5. Yeah, I mean, when is Cam Ward going to really get things together? They fired the head coach, right? You've got the interim in now. Maybe that could be the shakeup that they need. Maybe a new culture, right? Some new locker room morale. Rally the troops. We'll see how that goes. But I can't, negate the fact of Drake May and what he's been able to do and how successful this team is as far as a core unit offensively and defensively. I mean, they can get the run going, right? They get the pass going. You've got Drake May playing like a superstar, and he's feeling good, and this team believes in him. So I can't help but not go for New England. They favored by 6.5. I'm going to take them by the touchdown. Quick shout out to you, Christopher Jones. Thank you for the $2 donation. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. So yeah, I'm going to take New England there by 7. After that, it's going to be the Raiders in Kansas City, right? Divisional game, but it doesn't matter because Geno is absolutely terrible right now. He's not utilizing Bowers. He's not utilizing Jacoby. Ginty, I mean, he's good, but he's not. He can't be a one man band out there, right? It's a team effort. So at the end of the day, Kansas City is going to be doing Kansas City things. It says by 14. Could this be one of those weird games where the Raiders find a way to get it together and keep it close? Probably, just because that's how the NFL has been for these past few weeks. So yeah, I'm going to take Kansas City, but I wouldn't take the 12.5. I just wouldn't do it. I'd probably take them by a field goal or something weird like that because who the hell knows how that game's going to go. After that's going to be the Eagles and the Vikings. Vikings are favored by 1.5. I'm sorry. Eagles are favored by 1.5. Over under is 43.5. And once again, this is where you got a situation where the Eagles are coming off of, 2 losses in a row. Vikings are in a peculiar situation because they have a potential to actually win. We want to talk about teams that look good, that don't look good anymore, that are very vulnerable. It's the Eagles and the Bills. We got to be honest with ourselves. It's the Eagles and the Bills. And so certain things have been exposed as the weeks have went on coming into this week 7. And I think, the Eagles are at this point where it's like, hey, you got to get out there and get a win. And for Vegas to say 1.5, expecting a game like this to be that close against a team like the Vikings, the Super Bowl champions. There's a lot to be said about that. With that said, I just can't see how I could go against the Eagles in this one. I do think that Saquon's going to get it together. You got to find a way to really get A.J. Brown in the mix, get him out of that funk. Devontae Smith needs to do Devontae Smith things. And that defense has to step up. That defense has to play championship football. And, yeah, so I'm going to go with the Eagles there. After that, it's going to be the Panthers and the Jets. Rico Dowdle. Now, we do know that Hubbard's coming back, so Rico Dowdle and Hubbard will be basically sharing touches, carries, so that can maybe shake up things as far as for the offense. But I don't see the Jets being able to stop it, to be honest. I don't see the Jets being able to stop it. Rico Dowdle has had multiple games of close to 200 yards on the ground. And if they couldn't stop it, I don't see the Jets stopping it. And so now when you put, Hubbard in the mix and those two are healthy, it's going to be a big problem. And you're looking at another, Sonic and Knuckles situation like a Gibbs and Montgomery or something even better than that. Maybe like, like a Miami Vice situation. Shout out to the Miami Vice. I'm just saying it's going to be a good tag team as far as with Hubbard and Dottle. So, I think the Panthers will take that one, and the Jets will remain without a win. I'll take them by a field goal. As far as the Giants and the Broncos, this is a good one. This is a very good one. Yes, the Broncos defense is very strong, so it's definitely going to tax and test Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbill. They're very good at stopping the run, so he's going to have some problems trying to break through that line. I know he's a madman. I like the kid, but hey, you're going to run into a wall and you're going to get sat down in this one. You might get a couple good runs, but you ain't going to be the madman that we've been seeing over the past few weeks in this one. But with that said, I do think that, we got to give the Giants some credit. It's not going to be the easy win for the Broncos either. Bo Nix, right? He's going to come out there and try to do his thing. He's going to have to play smart, because this Giants team is very different now. They're playing with a lot of confidence. But, in the Mile High, I'm going to go with the home team on this one. It says 7.5, over under 40.5. I'm going to go ahead and roll with the Broncos. I'm going to take the 7. Even though I don't really want to. I'm thinking it's more like a field goal. They're going to keep it close, but I'll take them by 7. Next after that's going to be the Colts and the Chargers. Chargers are favored by 1.5. Once again, like I said, these weeks are getting very, very tough to judge. Colts, like I said, in a good spot, in a good position. Chargers, once again, they're at the top of the AFC West along with the Broncos. So there's a lot at stake as far as for both sides. But I think Herbert and company pull this one off at home. We do know that, Keenan Allen is the man for the job now. Johnson is out. I think that's a big problem. I think you need him in the rotation. So they'll have to figure some things out as far as offensively if he doesn't, get back in the game and just put that, ball in the hands more of Keenan Allen, get him going in a strong way early, get a good lead, and, they could potentially have a good run against the Colts. But if they can't do that, if they allow this Colts offense to really get going, it could be a long night at home. But I will take the Chargers there by 7. As far as the Commanders and the Cowboys, this is going to be a good one. Daniels is back, right? Daniels is back. You got a good squad. You got good, okay defense, right? On Dallas side, obviously we know the defense is a real problem. Jerry Jones was saying that the defense was playing good. I don't know where. I don't know where. I don't see it, Jerry. But what I will say is, if Dak can keep scoring and keep running that score up, Dallas has a good opportunity to keep winning games. I feel like the Dallas Cowboys are in the same kind of situation that the Bills are. You got to go put up 35 plus to win. And Dak Prescott, if any quarterback can do it, he can do it. With that said, the Commanders are favored by 1.5. Over-under is 55.5. Go ahead and give me the Commanders because they need a win. And I know that defense is going to run into some problems as far as on the Dallas side of things. I really want to see Williams get going. I want to see Ferguson ball out. But CeeDee Lamb ain't back. And we know you need CeeDee Lamb. So go ahead and give me the Commanders in that one. I'll take them by 3. After that's going to be Green Bay and Arizona. Green Bay is favored by 6.5. Give me the Packers in that one. After that is going to be the Falcons and the 49ers. Listen, Falcons were looking crazy against the Bills. Absolutely crazy. San Francisco at home, right? Brock Purdy coming back, trying to get his footing back. You still don't have George Kittle. You still got so many issues as far as with that offense. I just don't think it's there. And now you got Atlanta feeling themselves. And we just beat the Bills. We gonna come out west in the Levi Stadium. We gonna beat y'all too. So it's gonna be a tough fight. And if Robinson get going and y'all can't wrap him up, I would make a Cole Bishop joke, but it's probably going to make me sad. But if y'all can't wrap Robinson up and he gets another $180 on you, gets $150 on you, it's going to be a long night. Give me Atlanta for the field goal. After that, it's going to be Monday night doubleheader. You have the. Why am I? Hold on, let me fix my screen, y'all. Let me fix my screen. Come on, Jay. Get it together. Come on. It's not moving. Yo, it's really not moving. That's so aggravating. All right, hold on. Let me do this. There we go. All right, cool. Y'all know I got OCD, so my bad. All right, so we got the Buccaneers and the Lions. I think this is going to be a very, very strong game for sure. You have Baker Mayfield, who is now leading the MVP conversation. Buccaneers have lost one game. Lions coming off of the controversial loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. Lions are at home. Dan Campbell is going to be a madman out there. You're going to see a situation where this Buccaneers defense is going to have to deal with Gibbs, Montgomery, St. Brown. There's going to Laporta, T-Slot. There's going to be a lot going on for this Buccaneers defense. I think this is going to be the real challenge as far as for this Buccaneers defense and whether or not they're serious. Now, getting into the offense, right? On the flip side, it's going to be a little tough for y'all to stop Baker Mayfield. He can run, he can throw, he can do it all. He's not a one-trick pony. And we're starting to see Baker Mayfield shine and actually come into full form with this Buccaneers team, and that's why they've been doing so great. But I can't negate the fact that this is a situation where Baker Mayfield will be tested. You're in Detroit. You're up against a solid defense. You're up against a mad defense and a mad team who just lost. So you're going to run into some problems if you don't get started early. And I think that's where the big thing's going to be. If the Buccaneers are going to win this game, you got to get started early, right? Don't get them in those situations where they're in a 3rd and 2 or 4th and 2 as far as on the defensive side of things, because Dan Campbell will go for it, right? Try to keep it 3rd and long, 4th and long. Try to hold on to St. Brown. Try to stop Laporta, stop those guys, and make sure that you're doing very good at keeping them in those long down situations, and you have a better scenario as far as potentially beating them. With that said, these are the Lions, right? And some would say that they were cheated in the last game. Now, I'm not saying it, but I've seen it out there, and we just read the Dan Campbell story. So I do think in this kind of situation, this team's going to come out on fire. Dan Campbell's going to have these guys ready, and they're going to put up a strong fight. I'm not saying that the Buccaneers can't win this game. I just don't think they will, because they definitely can. But I'm going to roll with the Lions, even though this is probably against my better judgment. Give me the Lions by 3. Lions by 3. After that, it's going to be Houston and Seattle. Texans and the Seahawks. Seahawks favored by 3.5. I like Darnold and company, right? I mean, Houston's been pretty quiet. CJ Stroud says he feels like a 50-year-old. He's at 24 years old. I don't get it. I don't think that's something that you want to, tell people. So yeah, give me Seattle for that one. As far as your bye weeks, you got the Bills and the Ravens, who are on a bye. And if there's any teams that need to be on a bye, it is the Bills and the Ravens. So there you go. There you go. There's your predictions for week 7, y'all. Week 7. Let me hop to the chat real quick. Week 7, yeah, it's going fast, without a doubt. When will Aaron Rodgers retire? Oof, that's a good question. I'm not sure. It could be a situation where, he rides his season out if they do fairly well. If they end up in the playoffs, right, he could maybe potentially come back next year. I'm just not sure. If they don't make the playoffs, maybe he might hang it up. I think a lot of what Aaron Rodgers is going to do rides on whether or not he, stays healthy, and then what happens for the postseason. So, says Cowboys over Commanders. Listen, I don't think it's wrong either way, to be honest. I don't think it's wrong either way. Giants will win against the Broncos. All right. Jay, what's your Cash App? Hashtag Jay, not hashtag, I apologize. The $sign, and then Jay Reason. I'll put it in the chat. Shout out to you, James Minner. What games you doing this week? Sunday. What are we doing? So we're going to be doing because I got to see what they're going to do. They're either going to give me Eagles and the Vikings, or the Panthers and the Jets. And I'm not doing the Panthers and the Jets. I'm just being real with y'all. Even though I like the Panthers right now. But if they give me those two, I'll probably do Giants and Broncos. If I can do that one. It's kind of weird because I always have to go through and see what's going on and figure out which app has what and all that kind of stuff. But I'm probably looking at Giants, Broncos, Commanders, and Cowboys. And then Monday night, we're doing Tampa Bay and Detroit. So those will be the two for Sunday and Monday. Tyrone, wow. You want me to stream the tragedy that's been in New Jersey with with the Jets? I love you, bro, but you really want me to stream that game? They got a goose egg right now. Listen, I'm not even hating. It's just bad. It is so bad. And I was rooting for Justin Fields last week. I really wanted him to win. I stayed quiet. I didn't say nothing. I let everybody else dog him. I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm gonna just let it ride out. And then he bombed. So show me something. Get him to show me something. I have no problem streaming Jets games. When Aaron Rodgers was there, I streamed the Jets games. Obviously, he went down, but I was all for it. I was ready to go. I was excited for the Jets. You know, and then Justin Fields went over there. I was like, okay, you know, maybe it'll shake up something. Wrong. You're mad at Jay. Don't be mad at Jay because of what them Jets doing. Can they go over 6J? Man, listen. I'll tell you this. Panthers are 3-3. Okay. You're 0-6. If there's any team that you have a strong chance to actually beat, I do think that it is the Panthers. The question is, can you stop that run? When I say that run is now, it was already unstoppable with Rico Dowdle. So now you got to deal with Hubbard coming back, and they're going to have them in tandem of each other. That's going to be a big problem because now if they go with the situation where they're like, all right, we going to have Hubbard in obviously coming back and he's good to go. We going to have Hubbard in and we going to use him on the pass a little bit, right? And then we going to have Rico on the run and we going to use either one of them as a decoy. What is your defense going to do in that situation? Because both of them can run and they both can catch. So if coaching is smart and uses either one of them as a decoy, the opportunities are endless for this Panthers offense. So the Jets run into this big problem in that alone. And not only that, it opens up whatever Bryce would need to look for down the field to make plays because you have the game plan so strong on the run now. It's a nightmare scenario for the Jets. It is a nightmare scenario for the Jets. And I think all you're hoping is, can Justin Fields find a way to score along with the Panthers scoring, and hopefully time of possession matters and who has the ball last has an opportunity to win the game. That's what you're hoping for if you're a Jets fan right now. So, and I think that's the reality of it. As sad as it is. As sad as it is. So yeah, that's as far as, week 7 predictions. My thoughts as far as, this week's most important games, or the top 3 for me. I mentioned this yesterday. Steelers, Bengals. After that, it would be Giants, Broncos. And then, of course, Buccaneers, Lions. I think those are the top 3 games this week. I said Rams and Jags yesterday, but I swapped it to Giants and Broncos just because I think that game is way more significant as far as for the Broncos and their division and what it means to them, but also, what's going on with the Giants and in the opportunities that they have and, the excitement around that team and the motivation and all that good stuff. So, yeah. I got it, Sabrina. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for the support. Holding it down. Let's go. What up, George? I see you, bro. Yeah, like I said, I got the Seahawks. I like them this week. Uh, it's just been very interesting as the weeks go by how some of these games have went. It was funny because, we are part of Tinfoil Hat Gang and all that. There was someone on Twitter. There was someone on Twitter who um basically goes on and he makes jokes about the bets and everything's like that, and then the parlays and like who he bans. And so I always find it funny how people feel about their parlays and stuff because I don't bet. And seeing their like reactions to how these games go and all this kind of stuff. And he was just talking about how prime time games are the most bet on games. And it's absolutely the worst case scenario as far as for who you think should do what. And it almost never happens. And so I had to think about it, like back to when like I was betting. I was like, you know what? It makes absolute sense because there's no way you'd have a scenario where your starting superstar running back who's been averaging 5 to 6 yards a carry, it comes fourth quarter and now the quarterback is just all passing and they're only down by maybe a field goal or a touchdown. They just completely abandon the run and they go with the pass. And like everybody had, I don't know, between like 80 yards, 75 yards on the parlay, and the running backs at like 60, 50 or 60 yards. I've seen it happen so many times, hundreds of times now. And I thought about it. I was like, wow, maybe this is the tinfoil hat side of things. Maybe people's bets do affect what happens during like primetime games. Imagine how many people had a Jared Goff touchdown in the Chiefs game, and that Jared Goff touchdown was probably worth like 5,000 because Jared Goff doesn't get run-in touchdowns or passing touchdowns. I'm just saying. Tinfoil Hat Gang. It's always funny, the football conspiracies. It's always funny. So, but there you go. There you go. So that's it for the predictions tonight, y'all. Make sure you drop it in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. Tell me how you feel about this Dan Campbell story, because I feel like this is something that's very serious. I think it's something that we need to really, really dig into. You can't have a situation where a touchdown occurs, everyone's going off the field, and then the refs huddle up and say, oh, you know what? Void that touchdown. It was an illegal play. And then they say that, hey, they threw the flag, and then they huddled up and talked about it, and they lied to Dan Campbell about how it came through. And then days later, Dan Campbell shows up on a radio show and says New York called it in. It's kind of wild. It's kind of wild. Let me know what you guys think about that. Make sure you hit the chat. Also subscribe, hit that like button. I appreciate you all. Much love to the Wrench Gang, the family, all of you. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good night.